Good morning, everyone. Let's make a sausage gravy stuffler and have a quick little chat about moderate protein. Good morning, welcome to the Radical Geek YouTube channel, and from the intro you'll know that I am making a sausage gravy stuffler, and we'll have a quick chat while things are cooking so that we don't have a lot of lag time. So there's a lot of things to do here, but it's actually relatively simple. The first thing is that from my garden this morning I grabbed some fresh herbs, some sage. My sage has gone absolutely crazy this morning. Some fresh thyme, and there's a couple rosemary leaves in here. And I'm just gonna commit a crime against herbs because I am lazy and I just dropped a rosemary leaf and we're gonna ignore it. There's no exact measurement to this, but we're gonna do twofold. I'm just gonna cut some of it up that's gonna fry up here with the sausage. And I'm also going to trim a little bit of it into the waffle batter. Now, I started the waffle batter not all the way. I just put the liquids in here, which is 1.5 ounce avocado oil and 1.5 ounce heavy cream and 1 egg and 1 teaspoon of corn extract by Amaretti. That corn extract cost a fortune, but it really is quite nice. And since I was going for more savory, I felt like that was going to be a good add-in to the basic waffle. And from there, I am skipping the gelatin today because one of the things about making a stuffler with a liquid filling is that sometimes you think that it's going to do like stuffed raviolis and stuff, where you cut it open and the liquid oozes out, and that's not quite what happens with the stuffed waffle because the batter is raw, and then you're adding ingredients that have a lot of moisture to it, so those ingredients sink into the waffle and bake up in there. So I didn't add that in on purpose because our waffle batter is going to be absorbing extra moisture from the gravy. So I also just like adding a little bit of these fresh herbs, and yes, because they came straight from my garden and just got a quick rinse off, I did pick off this some of the stem, but like for the thyme, I absolutely just cut that up right in. It's not like dried stuff where the stem becomes all woody and hard, and it has great flavor. So you can go ahead and not worry too much about that. You can keep the little pinch of the stem on there, and it's no worries. So that's the main thing for the chaffle. And we've made this basic chaffle batter a few times now, so you can go back in the videos and find it if you need to. But again, I've got the 1 egg, 1.5 ounces avocado oil, 1.5 ounces heavy cream. Basically 1.5 of a regular waffle mini dash recipe. From there, I'm also going to add, somewhere I should have my teaspoons, here we are, a little bit, about a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Aluminum free, gluten free, etc., etc. And then I will be adding in my whey protein isolate. I have the IsoPure zero carb whey protein isolate. Yes, you can use other proteins if you want. Anything will work. Yes, you can use keto chow. If you use keto chow, you should probably add a little more liquid, and possibly you're going to want maybe I don't know, you'd probably want at least a little more liquid, and you may wind up wanting to add just a teensy bit more baking powder to give it a little lift. It has a little bit more than just the isolate protein. So you'll also be making a much heavier waffle. So that is something to think about. It will be absolutely delicious. The savory chicken or the beef base would be really good as a substitute for the whey protein isolate. And the texture may not be quite as fluffy. It may be a bit more dense, but it would still be delightful. But that's basically it for the waffle batter. We'll give that a mix. And actually, while I mix this, I'm going to pause mixing it. Get the heat on here because I've got my herbs going. And here I've got my standard pork sausage. You know, we grind this at home. Yes, I've got way more in there than I would normally use for a single waffle. We won't be using all of this, but if I'm making sausage gravy, there's going to be some extra for other meals or things like that. This was sausage I had thawed out of my freezer, and all we do is we grind up your pork, which is oftentimes either we have a pork butt, which is ideal, but if we don't have that and we get a pork loin because that's what's most economical, then I also add in fat to it by doing some a couple rashers of pork belly to get that good fat in there. And I'll usually, like I said, after we do the bacon, I see that I put chili flakes in here. So it's got chili flakes and salt and pepper. So a lot of seasoning already in there, and then I just added my fresh herbs this morning. So we're gonna cook up the sausage, and you can hear it sizzling. So really easy, very simple. Sometimes people get very complex with their sausage gravy, and even pre-keto, I always told people you're way overthinking it. Very, very simple, very, very basic to make extremely delicious. All right, we'll let this sausage cook for a minute. I'll stir up my batter, and then we're going to talk about protein some more, which we've talked about a few times, a lot of times, but I feel like the topic keeps coming up because there's so much information out there and so many different protein plans. You know, carnivore is very high in protein, although technically, even if you're eating carnivore, you shouldn't be going like so crazy that you are 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 on your protein to fat ratios. If you're doing that, then yeah, you might run into some issues. You want to make sure you get, you know, that 1-to-1 kind of balance. Plenty of meats and eggs and butter and dairy all have plenty of fat, so there's really no reason to be that far out of kilter in carnivore. BBBE is definitely very high on the fat spectrum, even though you are eating a large amount of protein. And keto, sure, it's absolutely easy to go over. A lot of people struggle going under. You know, I've had questions on I can't eat all this protein, but also a lot of people have trouble eating enough fat. And I told, you know, my advice there is pay attention to what foods you're eating and don't always go for the chicken breast. Not that you can't have chicken breast. If you do, make yourself a nice fatty hollandaise to go with it, or something like that, so that you get that you get that balance of the protein to the fat ratios. And I keep saying ratios, but it doesn't have to be that serious, just that you have to have some mindfulness. But the other thing that comes up a lot is, hey Maitreya, I see that you recommend Dr. Finney and Dr. Volek a lot, and they keep talking about moderate protein. But if I look at Diet Doctor with Dr. Naiman, their protein seems very high because it's 1-to-1. And when they talk about protein, you know, and often other people will say you can't eat too much protein. So we've talked about that in the past. You can eat too much of anything. Sure, you can. Would it be easy to overeat? Not necessarily, because they're very filling. But if you're not, if you've got a lot of damage to your metabolism, or your gut is unhealthy, you absolutely can have that where you can be eating too much protein or too much of anything really, And oh, my dog wants to come out so bad, you guys. Hang tight. We're going to take a quick pause, and I'm going to let him out, and then we'll keep cooking and talking. All right, anyways, yes, dog is now running around happy, and sausage is cooking up real good. So yeah, anyways, but Maitreya, Dr. Volix and Finney seem very old school and talk about moderate protein. And I thought we needed high protein, and you hear like prioritize protein. So how can you recommend moderate protein, but then also be an advocate for Dr. Naiman or supporting other influencers who are talking about eat your protein, prioritize protein? And the answer is 1-to-1, which is what they're talking about when they're telling you to prioritize your protein, is entirely moderate. It's not high protein, and none of them are advocating low fat and lean protein, piles and piles and piles of protein. That is where the confusion comes in. And nor is moderate protein low protein. There was a large trend a while back by some influencers where they were like saying never ever go over 50 grams of protein or it'll turn to sugar, and it's not the way that works. It's technically and scientifically 100% incorrect. It's not. It's a demand-driven process, not something that just happens. And 100 grams of protein is minimum protein, which is entirely doable within a moderate plan. Whether you're doing 2-to-1 or 1-to-1, depending on whether you're following a Dr. Boz's diabetic plan or an epileptic maintenance of 1-to-1 when you started out with 1-to-4, where you were high fat to get everything under control neurologically, etc., etc. So there's a lot of variance there, and that's just where I wanted to clear up some of the confusion, and as to how I could advocate a moderate protein food plan. You know, especially when they say things like make sure you're not overdoing your protein. They're not saying don't overdo it because they want you to restrict. Their Doctors Volek and Finney work with a lot of people who are type 2 diabetic or type 1 diabetic, and they really need to stress the fat to start getting things under control. Additionally, they also work with a lot of neurological disorders and high performance athletes. So their needs are maybe, it's maybe the way you haven't really been looking at it. By the way, so my batter has gotten nice. It's been sitting. My stuffler is all heated up. All that's left now is to finish off this gravy. It'll take a few minutes, but I've got a cup of heavy cream. Yes, an entire cup. Like I said, this was not your lightweight gravy. And it takes a bit because we're not using a thickener. We're just letting the heavy cream reduce and get unctuous. That's my favorite word. And it's heavy cream, so it's already thick, and you want it to warm up and emulsify with this fat from the sausage. Certainly, if you desire a thickener, you absolutely can add in your whey protein isolate. You can add in your keto chow, savory chicken, or beef base, or even the tomato basil if you want to take it that route. But I find that simpler is better for me. And you know that I love keto chow. I just find that I would rather have it in soups or biscuits or other things. And my sausage gravy, I really like just to get all of the sausagey flavors and my fresh herbs, salt and pepper. So that we'll just let this go for a few minutes, and we'll talk about that. What moderate protein? I believe that I've said it right now. What constitutes moderate protein? Moderate protein means getting in your minimum 100 grams of protein a day. Anyone who is an adult, regardless of your size, should have 100 grams of protein a day. That's your minimum. So if you're going to have a protein goal, then 100 grams is your minimum goal, and then you should adjust upwards according to your lean body mass and so on and so forth. You want to consult with somebody if you can't figure it out on your own. There are lots of influencers who will help you out with calculating macros and getting you on the plan that's appropriate for you, because it's not the same for any two people. I will say, other than, that's why we have minimums. If you regularly and consistently eat less than 100 grams of protein, you're going to start having some nutritional issues. You'll be, you're certainly, yes, you are going to lose weight, but you're also going to lose muscle mass. And that's where people start getting things like brittle nails, or those little white specks on their nails, or they start experiencing rapid hair loss or hair thinning. Not to be confused, if you are an older woman or a biological, have female body parts, then absolutely you can experience that rapid hair loss from menopause if you are in the right age and physical time point for that. So that's a different category to work on. My flame went out, so I just gotta get it back on. There we go. And as you can see, it's starting when you, well, I don't know, you really can't see on the camera, it's too far away, but it's definitely reducing, because as I bring my spoon through, it clears the swath, and that swath stays. So we're almost there with this gravy. I mean, maybe I didn't need quite as much gravy, but who am I kidding? It'll be great with some fried eggs. It'll be great if I choose to make another stuffler. But I have a feeling that if I've got gravy, family will be snatching it up and eating it in short order. It doesn't even matter if we have any other things prepared for it, because they'll throw it on, again, a pile of scrambled eggs, or on a piece of chicken, or all kinds of stuff. So it's a very versatile sort of dish, even though it's also very, very hearty. You don't need a whole lot of it. There we go, got some heat going, and I'm just gonna let it reduce a little bit more, not a ton more. I'd love to see in the comments your questions about the protein and what moderate means, where you've been confused, what other things we can talk about to help you figure out your journey. I like the comments on YouTube, of course, because it helps our metrics, and also when you are willing to post something in public, it isn't just for you, it actually often helps other people who have the same question, and opens the door for us to have a more in-depth discourse on the whole thing. So we have all of that. Oh, the gravy's looking great. And the other thing I wanted to remind you is, if you missed last Sunday's live stream, go and replay. You don't want to miss that we drank a $130 cup of poop coffee. But in addition to that, there's a reminder in there that you probably want to leave a comment on that video. 100%, you want to go and leave a comment there. It's going to be very important in 2 weeks' time. And I'm not going to tell you why it will be important, but I promise you it will be, and it's very exciting. Or medium exciting, probably. But pretty good. So now my gravy is all there. I want you guys to see this, so you can see it is thick, it is gravified. There is no middle ground on it. We're not at it's not soupy, it's not in any way, shape, or form in need of an additional thickener. So you don't have to add cream cheese to it, which makes the flavor a little weird. You don't need to add Parmesan cheese to it, although, I mean, you can if you want that flavor profile. You just don't have to. So, but you can see it's definitely very scoopable. It didn't separate or get weird, nothing like that. So we are all set there. Let me go ahead and move this off so we have some extra space. Bring a little quick wipe here to get rid of my little splatters. Sorry for the extra sound. scrub down later, of course, but you know, just for the moment, get the primary. Open our stuffler up. And remember, we want to put a nice amount of batter in the bottom, but save enough so that you can cover the top. Give it a little smear around. Make sure that you cover all the knobs. And I also find that sometimes, even though I don't enjoy the uneven cook as much, sometimes just letting it sit here a second and start firming up is also helpful. Give my little gravy here. Let me get a spoon to scoop it as opposed to my cooking spatula. And I'm just going to come in here now and give myself a nice little scoop. Now, this is just a reminder, by the way, these stufflers are enormous. So, you want to be mindful of planning that this is not a one-person meal. I mean, it can be, I suppose, but if I eat this entire stuffler right now, my tummy is gonna hurt because it's like probably about like 900 calories. Hey, stop that barking. Sorry, guys. And I have overfilled my stuffler just a smidge, so it's gonna leak out. Oh, the excitement of overfilling our waffle makers. We all have done this like a 9 million times, that we just can't help ourselves in overfilling it. But that's all right. I'll tell you, my sausage gravy, I love it so much, but it's hard not to just grab in here with a spoon. But yeah, so like 900 calories, even though I can eat 900 calories in a sitting, it's a little bit hard on the stomach, and I'm not conditioned for OMAD. So I usually do have to wait a little bit, and so I eat like a quarter or a half if I really want like the whole meal deal. And I save the other half for later, because like I said, that gravy isn't going to be in there all liquidy and ooze out like as if it's a, you know, underdone yolk from the egg. It's going to permeate into the waffle batter, and then you'll have that flavor throughout the waffle, and then your nice large chunky sausage bits throughout. Really nice, and I think that you will enjoy it a lot. Let's have a little coffee, because it wouldn't be the Radical Geek channel without some coffee. We live on our coffee, not poop coffee though. I'm just going to keep talking about that stuff because, like I said, while I wouldn't necessarily buy it again, I'm super grateful that I got the experience, and family conspired to give us all that shared moment. But it was so weird and very uncoffee flavored that it really bent my noodle. So, and let me just, while this continues to cook, and I'll take a little pause here too and just do a quick tidy up while it finishes cooking, because it does take like 10 minutes, and who wants to hear me prattle on for like 10 minutes about nothing? Nobody. Not even me. So I lost track too. See? Craziness in the morning. Oh yeah, so what else am I going to eat today? So I'm going to start off with my half a stuffler, my coffee, and a glass of Element. We have raspberry salt right now, and still watermelon salt is my favorite, but the raspberry's real good. So we'll have that this morning. I'll follow it up with an Ultima flavored water, a random pick from the jar, and then later today I will have probably a Teton sausage with some cheese and a side salad with my greens picked from the garden and some baby spinach and a lemon vinaigrette. So I do have a keto chow. I'm not sure. It's not a whole meal because I made a few creamies where I used just the keto chow and the unsweetened almond milk. So not as creamy. It comes out kind of sorbet in texture. So I might have that too, depending on how full I am. If I feel like I could use that extra cooling, which has been happening in the afternoon, but I don't want the heaviness of the whole entire ice cream, that's probably what I'll go with. Those are kind of like my backups. They give me some good nutrition, but since I've had tons of fat today, it doesn't have to be like the whole meal full deal thing. The unsweetened almond milk, and I've mixed an egg in there too, so it gives me the 10 grams of fat that you need for the soluble vitamins, yada yada yada. So all good there. That's my food plan for today. I don't know if I'm feeling ready for the bike ride. If it's not raining and my Wednesday group does plan to ride, I may join them, but I'm still leery about being out in the 95-degree heat because I gave myself such a sun adventure this weekend, and I'm not sure that I shouldn't just do a regular workout inside the house, use my little workout space in the basement, which, by the way, is the number one best thing about filming outside, even though this could be an indoor cook, is that I have my whole gym space back to me in the basement, and that's delightful. Might also just do some nice workouts in the office during the work day. Easy to do some quick, like 5K steps or things like that, fast workouts to get things moving, and then you don't feel quite as groggy during the day. So that's everything. I will take a quick pause, throw some stuff in the dishwasher while we let this finish cooking, and we'll be back for the big reveal. All right, everyone, who is ready for our stuffed waffle? Our sausage gravy stuffed waffle. All right. Oh, look at it. It's delightful looking. I am thrilled 100%. And as it turns out, I only had a little teeny tiny dribble over the edge, so I did not overfill. All right, maybe a couple crumbs, but nothing major. Certainly nothing that makes me sad. And, the waffle is crisp and then also really soft at the same time. Delightful. Put my rings back. I think the rings are a little fiddly, but not terrible. Unplug it so it can cool down for cleaning. And let me just move this to the side. Bring the waffle to the center. I will hold it up for you, my little waffle edges, so you can see. And I will cut into it for us. I'll even pick it up and show you. Perfection! Yay! And here we go. So you can see right inside. Like I said, the gravy cooks into the waffle and gets it all extra fluffy and nice in there, while the sausage kind of floats around in the center. And whoops, luckily for me, I didn't drop it on the ground. Unlucky for the dog, I didn't drop it on the ground. But anyways, so when you get in here, you can see how perfect it is. Let me see if I can get a better shot for you. It's hard to see because I'm far and I don't want to come out from the counter, but there's sausage all throughout. It doesn't even have the waffle layer is not like super thick. It's really a great medium for these stuffed waffles. It's hot. That is super good. Bite my fingers. I gotta say, I said that it's too much food to eat in one sitting. It's so delicious. I could see that if you didn't control yourself and put some of it away, you could just power through this baby and then have regrets later for overeating, because it is so tasty. That sausage mixed with the waffle batter and that gravy umptuousness in there, delightful. And I like that I remembered to put chili flakes in my sausage when I ground it last time, because that really bumps up the flavor a lot. It's great. So get yourself a stuffed waffle maker. At first I thought it was foolish to recommend, and I will say that if you aren't like really that excited, but you just see all the trend, no, you probably don't actually need one. I would say that you should get a waffle maker, especially handy, or would be to get like 2 or 3 of the mini dash waffle makers. This is not an essential appliance. It is a fun appliance. So, you know, I do like it, and I have zero regrets about purchasing it, and I would 100% buy it again because I find these a lot of fun. But I also will say that I could just make mini waffles and pile my gravy on top of it and also be just fine. So that's my actual recommendation. I will say that I really do enjoy the My Mini Stuffed Waffle Maker. I think that it was a good choice for me, even though I was hoping for something a little smaller. It worked out great, and I have zero regrets. So I hope that you are having an amazing Wednesday, and I'll see you again on Cheese Friday, and then again on Sunday. I'll be getting that live stream up. We're just going to make ourselves a nice cappuccino and relax. And I will also be recording some things I'm going to do for a barbecue, although it won't release until next week. But I just thought I would put that out there. We'll be doing some vegetables on the smoker, and possibly a smoked loaded cauliflower casserole at the same time. So it should be very exciting. Anyways, I look forward to hearing from you. Reminder to go and make comments on that live stream video. You won't have regrets in a couple weeks, I promise you. And make comments here on this video about things we can talk about with the protein or possible recipe request. I know we have an outstanding request for the mole, but that is such an elaborate procedure. I think it would be a multi-part video, and I just haven't staged it all up yet. Maybe closer towards the end of the summer when all of my chili peppers have come in and I've got them dried out and ready to go. So I'll see you soon. Have a great one. Bye bye.